The 30 days were over. Supreme Admiral Tae-hyun watched from the bridge of his flagship as the human fleet materialized around them. Not fading in slowly this time, but appearing all at once like a magic trick. One moment there was empty space, the next moment 1,000 impossible ships surrounded the Grand Fleet. "All ships report ready for battle," announced Tactical Officer Yong-soo. His voice was steady, but his hands shook as he worked his controls. "Admiral, the humans are broadcasting on all frequencies," reported the communications officer. "Put them through." Admiral Kyung-soo appeared on screen, looking exactly the same as he had 18 days ago. Behind him, the bridge of his ship pulsed with organic light, walls breathing like living tissue. "Supreme Admiral Tae-hyun, you have failed to evacuate the contested worlds. 47 colonies remain under Imperial control in former human space. This is disappointing." "The Caleth Empire does not surrender its territory to threats," Tae-hyun replied. "If you want our worlds, come and take them." "Very well." Kyung-soo's expression didn't change. "Captain Ji-hai, you may begin the demonstration." The screen switched to show the strange woman who had started this crisis. Her ship, the Persistence of Memory, hung directly in front of the Imperial flagship. It was close enough to touch, yet their sensors still couldn't get solid readings on it. "Hello again, Supreme Admiral," Ji-hai said. "I'm going to show you why resistance is pointless. Please watch carefully." She closed her eyes and placed her hands on what looked like a living control panel. Immediately her ship began to change. The hull became transparent, then translucent, then started to phase in and out of existence. "Sir, the human ship is moving through our forward shields," Yong-soo reported in disbelief. "It's passing right through them like they're not there." On screen, they watched the Persistence of Memory slide directly through the Emperor's Will's deflector shields. The shields flared and sparked, but couldn't stop something that existed partially outside normal space. "Now watch this," Ji-hai said softly. Her ship solidified again, but now it was inside the Imperial flagship's shield perimeter. Every weapon on the Grand Fleet immediately targeted it, but before they could fire, something incredible happened. The Persistence of Memory began to split apart, not breaking or exploding, but dividing like a living cell. One ship became 2, then 4, then 8. Each new ship was identical to the original. "Sir, which one do we shoot?" Yong-soo asked desperately. "All of them," Tae-hyun ordered. The Grand Fleet opened fire. 500 warships unleashed enough energy to crack a moon. Plasma beams, particle cannons, quantum torpedoes. Everything the Empire had built over centuries of conquest. The weapons passed harmlessly through the human ships. Every shot went right through them as if they were made of light. "Your weapons are designed to hit objects that exist in normal spacetime," Ji-hai explained calmly. "We exist in several dimensions at once. Your attacks can't touch us unless we want them to." The 8 copies of her ship suddenly rushed toward 8 different Imperial vessels. Fleet Admiral Hyun-woo's ship was one of the targets. As the human vessel approached, his crew tried everything: ramming speed, close-range weapons, even emergency shield overloads. Nothing worked. The Persistence of Memory passed through the hull of Hyun-woo's ship like a ghost walking through a wall. "Sir, the human ship is inside our engineering section," reported Commander Woo Jin from his bridge. "But it's not attacking. It's just studying us." On the main tactical display, they could see human ships phasing through Imperial vessels throughout the fleet, not destroying them, not even damaging them, just proving that they could go anywhere they wanted. "Enough," Tae-hyun shouted. "What do you want from us?" The human ships withdrew, reforming back into the original Persistence of Memory. Ji-hai smiled sadly. "We want you to understand, Admiral. Your empire has grown comfortable believing you're the strongest force in the galaxy. You're not. You never were." Admiral Kyung-soo's voice came over the communications. "Phase 2 begin now." Across the fleet, every Imperial ship suddenly lost power. Not just weapons and shields, but everything. Life support, gravity, even the lights. 500 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy went completely dead in space. "Don't panic," Kyung-soo said. "Your crews are safe. We're simply demonstrating what we could do if we chose to be hostile." In the darkness of his bridge, Tae-hyun could hear his crew breathing heavily. Emergency lighting flickered on, but their main systems remained offline. "How?" he asked. "Every computer system in your fleet is based on human designs from 300 years ago," Commander So-young explained. "We built backdoors into everything before we left. Not to harm you, but to protect ourselves when we returned. You've been planning this for centuries. Supreme Admiral, we've been planning this since the day we left. We knew the Empire would expand into our territory. We knew they would build fleets to defend it. We just waited until we were ready to take it back. One by one, the Imperial ships came back online. But everyone understood the message. The humans could turn them off anytime they wanted. 47 minutes, Kyung-Soo announced. That's how long it took us to completely neutralize the greatest fleet in Imperial history. And we didn't fire a single weapon or harm a single person. This is impossible, Taehyun muttered. Admiral, you're thinking like someone from the old universe, Ji-hai said. We don't live there anymore. We've evolved beyond the rules that limit you. She gestured to her crew. For the first time, they could see them clearly. They looked human, but they moved in perfect coordination as if connected by invisible threads. When one person touched a control, the others responded instantly. We merged with our technology, she explained. We became living ships, thinking weapons, conscious systems. We didn't just build better tools, we became better beings. And now you're going to conquer us? No, Kyung-Soo said firmly. Now we're going to save you. The screen changed to show the edge of the galaxy again. The dark shapes were closer now and more visible. They looked like living shadows absorbing starlight as they moved. They're called the Devourers, Kyung-Soo said. We've been watching them for 50 years. They consume entire civilizations, turning their technology and biology into weapons. They'll reach the outer colonies in 8 years. Why should we believe you? Because, Admiral, if we wanted to harm your empire, you would already be dead. Your fleets would be scrap metal. Your worlds would be empty. Instead, we're offering you a chance to survive what's coming. The human ships began to move into new formations around the Imperial fleet, not threatening positions but protective ones. The evacuation of human worlds will continue, Kyung-Soo announced. But it's not a conquest anymore. It's preparation. We need those systems to build defenses against the real enemy. And if we refuse, then you'll face the Devourers alone with technology that's 300 years behind ours. How do you think that will end? Supreme Admiral Taehyun looked at his instruments. His fleet was completely outmatched by beings who had evolved beyond normal warfare. But more than that, they had shown restraint. They could have destroyed the Grand Fleet but chose mercy instead. What do you need from us? He asked quietly. Cooperation, your shipyards, your manufacturing capacity, your people's skills. We can teach you to build defenses that might work against the Devourers, but only if you trust us. The Empire will never surrender. We're not asking you to surrender, Ji-hai said. We're asking you to join us. Humans and Caleth, working together to save everyone. For the first time in Imperial history, the Grand Fleet had met something it couldn't defeat. But maybe, just maybe, it had found something better than victory. It had found hope. Supreme Admiral Taehyun stood before the largest gathering of Imperial naval power in history. 500 warships stretched across space in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming with weapons and armor. This was the Grand Fleet, the Empire's ultimate weapon. 20 days until the human deadline, he announced to his assembled captains via hologram. 20 days to show these ghosts that the Caleth Empire does not bow to threats. Intelligence Officer Na-young stepped forward with her report. She had spent 2 weeks studying everything they knew about the returning humans. Her findings were disturbing. Sir, we've analyzed the data from Admiral Hyunwoo's encounter. The humans didn't use any weapons we can recognize. Instead, they somehow convinced our own computers to shut down. How is that possible? Asked Captain Daeho. We think they planted code in our system centuries ago before they left. But that's not the worst part. Na-young paused. We found evidence that humans have been watching us for the entire 300 years. Every major battle, every new ship design, every tactical development, they've seen it all. The room erupted in angry voices. Taehyun raised his hand for silence. Explain. Gravitational anomalies in deep space, sir. Tiny distortions that our sensors dismissed as background noise. But when we map them over 3 centuries, they form patterns. The humans have been following our fleets, studying our tactics, learning our weaknesses. Strategic analyst Dong Min pulled up a star chart. Sir, look at this. Every time we developed new weapons, the anomalies increased around our testing grounds. They watched us build our entire military doctrine. You're saying they know everything about how we fight? Taehyun asked. Worse than that, sir. They helped design it. The room went silent. Na-young continued her briefing. We found archived records from human companies 3 centuries ago. They sold us the basic designs for our computer systems, our power cores, our weapons targeting. At the time, we thought we were getting a good deal buying human technology cheap. And now, Now we realize they gave us exactly what they wanted us to have. They've known for 300 years how to defeat every ship in this fleet. Captain Deho spoke up. What about our newest ships? The Thunder-class destroyers were built using completely new designs. Research Director Yunji answered from her station. Captain, I've been studying those designs. They're based on principles we discovered in abandoned human research stations. We thought we were being clever, building on their old work. But what if they left those designs for us to find? The implications hit everyone at once. Their entire military had been built on a foundation laid by humans who plan to return someday. Sir, we're detecting gravitational distortions at the edge of the system, reported scanner operator Jun Ho. Something big is coming. On the main screen, space began to twist and bend. But this time it wasn't just one distortion. Dozens of tiers in reality opened across the system. Through each tier came human ships. Not the sleek vessel they had seen before, but massive structures that looked more grown than built. Some were kilometers long, their hulls covered in what looked like scales or leaves. Fleet count, Taehyun demanded. Still climbing, sir. 100, 300, 500. Junho's voice cracked. Sir, there are over 1,000 human ships out there, and they're still coming. The human fleet spread across space in impossible formations. Some ships seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once, appearing solid from one angle and transparent from another. All ships battle formation, Taehyun ordered. Prepare for combat. But before the Grand Fleet could move, a new voice filled every ship's communication system. It was calm, measured, and absolutely certain. Supreme Admiral Taehyun, I am Admiral Kyung-soo of the Human Expeditionary Force. We need to talk. The man who appeared on screen was clearly human, but like the others, he had been enhanced. His eyes held the depth of centuries, and when he moved, reality seemed to bend slightly around him. You have an impressive fleet, Admiral, Kyung-soo said. 500 ships, 2 million crew members, enough firepower to destroy a planet. Under normal circumstances, this would be a formidable force. Under normal circumstances? Taehyun challenged. These are not normal circumstances. You are using technology we gave you, fighting with tactics we taught you and ships we helped you design. This is not a battle, Admiral. This is a lesson. Commander So Young appeared beside Kyung-soo on the screen. She looked younger than the Admiral, but moved with the same inhuman grace. We've run this scenario in our computers 47,000 times, she said. In every simulation, your fleet is completely disabled within 1 hour, usually within 20 minutes. You're bluffing, Taehyun replied. No force can defeat 500 warships without losses. Would you like to see? Kyung-soo asked. Before Taehyun could respond, something extraordinary happened. The space between the two fleets began to change. Reality twisted, and suddenly they could see through dimensions they didn't know existed. In that strange space between worlds, the humans revealed their true numbers. Not 1,000 ships, but 10,000. Not just in this system, but spread across dozens of systems throughout the old human territory. We've been preparing for this moment for 3 centuries, Kyung-soo explained. We've evolved beyond what we were. Our ships don't just use advanced technology. They are advanced technology. Living vessels that exist partially outside normal space-time. Tactical Officer Yong-soo was studying his instruments with growing horror. Sir, I can't get target locks on the human ships. They're there, but they're also not there. It's like trying to aim at shadows. Our weapons? Taehyun asked. All systems show ready, sir, but I don't think it matters. Look at this. On the tactical display, their own ships appeared in red, but around each Imperial vessel was a blue outline, showing where human ships could appear instantly if they chose to. We could phase our ships directly inside your hulls, Commander So Young said, as if reading their instruments. Your armor and shields wouldn't matter, but we don't want to harm you. What do you want? Taehyun asked. Cooperation, Kyung-soo replied. You see, Admiral, we didn't return to conquer you. We returned to save you. Save us from what? The screen changed to show deep space beyond the galaxy's edge. There, barely visible, were shapes that hurt to look at directly. Vast objects that seemed to absorb light itself. Something is coming from outside our galaxy, Kyung-soo said. Something that makes our little conflict look like children playing with toys. We detected them 50 years ago. They'll be here within a decade. And you expect us to believe you're here to help? Admiral, if we wanted to destroy your empire, we would have done it already. Watch. Every screen in the Grand Fleet went black for exactly 1 second. When they came back online, each ship's computer was displaying a personal message for its captain, information that should have been impossible for outsiders to know. "We've been inside your networks for 300 years, Kyung-soo said. "We know everything about your empire, your people, your technology. If we were conquerors, you would already be conquered." Taehyun looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at their instruments in shock and fear. The humans had just proven they could take control of the entire Grand Fleet whenever they wanted. 18 days remain, Admiral Kyung-soo said. "Use that time to evacuate the human worlds peacefully. Then we can begin preparing for the real war ahead." The transmission ended. The human fleet began to fade from view, but Taehyun knew they were still there, waiting. He had commanded the greatest military force in Imperial history. And in less than an hour, he had learned it was completely useless against an enemy that existed beyond the rules of normal warfare. The countdown to humanity's deadline continued. And somewhere in the dark between galaxies, something even more dangerous was heading their way. Captain Daeho stared at the empty space where the mining colony should have been. His ship's sensors showed nothing but asteroids and dust where 30,000 people had lived just a week ago. The Kaleth Empire had ruled the system for 300 years, ever since the humans vanished without a trace. "Sir, we're getting strange readings," said Commander Woo Jin from his station. The young officer's voice carried worry. "The colony buildings are gone, but there's no debris. No signs of battle, nothing." Daeho walked to the viewing screen. Below them, the planet Kepler 442b looked peaceful. Too peaceful. The massive mining equipment was still there, still working. But every single person had disappeared. "Take us down to the surface," Daeho ordered. The shuttle bay of the colony was empty but clean. Their boots echoed in the silence as they walked through the corridors. Everything was in perfect order. Meals sat half-eaten on tables. Computer screens still glowed with work schedules. But not one person remained. "Captain, you need to see this," called researcher Bora from the colony's main office. She was the ship's expert on old human artifacts. Her face was pale as she pointed to a message written on the wall in perfect Kaleth script. "They're coming home." The words were burned into the metal wall, each letter 3 feet tall. The metal around the words was still warm to the touch. "Who wrote this?" Daeho asked. "I don't know, sir. But the metal was heated from the inside. This would take technology we don't have." Woo Jin's communicator crackled. "Commander, we have a problem up here. Admiral Sang-mi wants to speak with the captain immediately." Back on the ship, Admiral Sang-mi's face filled the main screen. She was the Empire's top expert on the old days, when humans had controlled this part of space. Her expression was grim. "Captain, I've been studying the reports from your mission and 12 others like it. Colonies across the old human border are emptying. But here's what's strange, the people are leaving on their own. No force, no threats. They just pack up and go." "Go where?" Daeho asked. "That's the problem. They vanish completely. Our best tracking systems can't find them." Sang-mi paused, then continued. "Captain, I need to tell you something about the humans that's not in the official records. They didn't die out 300 years ago. They ran. The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew the story. Humans had been a small but troublesome species. When the Kaleth Empire expanded into their territory, the humans had simply disappeared overnight. Every ship, every colony, every person gone without a trace. What do you mean they ran?" Daeho asked. "I've spent 20 years studying human artifacts. They were planning something big before they vanished. Their final transmissions weren't goodbye messages. They were launch codes." The screen changed to show old star charts covered in human writing. "Look at these shipping routes. In their final year, humans moved massive amounts of materials to the edge of known space. Then they followed their supplies and disappeared." Technician Minho looked up from his console. "Admiral, if they ran away, why are the colonies emptying now?" "Because," Sang-mi said slowly, "I think they're coming back." Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Woo Jin ran to his station. "Sir, massive gravitational distortion detected at the edge of the system. Something big is coming through. What looks like an artificial wormhole." The main screen shifted to show empty space that suddenly wasn't empty anymore. Reality twisted and bent like heated plastic. Stars behind the distortion stretched into long lines of light. "All hands to battle stations," Daeho ordered, but his voice was calm. He had fought in dozens of battles for the Empire. Nothing in space frightened him anymore. The distortion grew wider. Through the twisted space, they could see movement. Something was coming through. Sir, the gravitational readings are off the charts, Minho reported. Whatever's coming through is huge. Bigger than our largest battleships. Weapons ready? Deho asked. Yes, sir. All batteries charged and targeted on the distortion. Bora was studying her instruments with growing excitement. Captain, I'm picking up energy signatures that match old human technology. But they're different, more advanced. The distortion suddenly snapped shut like a closing eye. Where there had been twisted space, now floated a single ship. But this wasn't like any ship they had ever seen. The old human ships had been blocky and crude, built like flying fortresses. This vessel looked almost alive. Its hull flowed in smooth curves that seemed to shift and change as they watched. Strange lights pulsed along its surface like a heartbeat. Sir, it's scanning us, Wu Jin reported. Return the scan. Get me everything, size, weapons, crew count. Minho's fingers flew over his controls. Then he stopped and stared at his screen. Sir, this is impossible. The ship is there, but our sensors can't get solid readings. It's like it's not completely in our dimension. Size estimate, maybe twice as long as our ship, but the mass readings keep changing. Sometimes it reads heavy as a moon, sometimes light as a shuttle. Deho studied the alien vessel. After 300 years, humans had returned. But they had changed into something else entirely. Sir, incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. Put it on screen. The image that appeared made everyone on the bridge step backward. It was human, but enhanced. The woman's eyes held depths that seemed to go on forever. Her skin had a subtle metallic sheen. When she smiled, her teeth were too perfect, too white. Greetings, Captain Deho of the Kaleth Empire, she said in perfect imperial language. I am Captain Jihai of the human vessel Persistence of Memory. We need to talk. Her image flickered slightly as if she wasn't entirely solid. It has been exactly 312 years, 4 months, and 16 days since we left, she continued. We have returned to reclaim what was always ours. Your empire has 30 standard days to evacuate all worlds that once belonged to humanity. Deho found his voice. One ship cannot threaten the entire Kaleth Empire. Jihai's smile grew wider. Captain, you're looking at just one ship because that's all your minds can handle right now. We didn't want to frighten you unnecessarily. The space around her vessel shimmered. For just a moment, they could see dozens of other ships, all as strange and beautiful as the first. Then the image faded back to showing just one. 30 days, Jihai repeated. Use the time wisely. The transmission ended. The human ship began to fade, becoming transparent like a ghost. Sir, should we fire? Wu Jin asked. No, Deho said quietly. I don't think our weapons would do much good. The ship vanished completely, leaving only empty space and the memory of impossible technology. Deho turned to his communications officer. Send a priority message to Imperial Command. Tell them the humans have returned. And tell them we're going to need a much bigger fleet. Fleet Admiral Hyunwoo had commanded the Imperial Navy for 20 years. He had never lost a battle. Standing on the bridge of his flagship, the mighty Emperor's Will, he watched 3 of his best cruisers approach the human vessel. Maintain distance and prepare for combat, he ordered. If they show any hostile intent, destroy them. The human ship hung in space like a living thing. Its hull seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting slowly. Strange patterns of light moved across its surface in waves. Sir, the humans are requesting to speak with you directly, reported Communications Officer Heijin. Put them through. Captain Jihai appeared on the main screen. Up close, her inhuman beauty was even more disturbing. Her eyes reflected light like mirrors, and when she moved, she left slight after-images in the air. Admiral Hyunwoo, she said, I know your reputation. 43 victories, 0 defeats. Quite impressive for your species. What do you want? Hyunwoo asked bluntly. I want you to understand what you're facing. Your empire has grown comfortable ruling our old territory. That ends now, Hyunwoo laughed. You have 1 ship. I have 3 cruisers here and 500 more within calling distance. Your threats are meaningless, are they? Jihai tilted her head. Watch carefully, Admiral. The human ship began to glow. The light started at the front and flowed backward like water. As it moved, the ship's hull became transparent. They could see through it to the stars beyond. Sir, our cruiser Storm's Edge is reporting system failures, called Tactical Officer Yong-Soo. All their weapons are powering down. Tell them to restart their systems, Hyunwoo ordered. They're trying, sir. But the computers aren't responding to commands. It's like the ship is refusing to obey. On the main screen, they watched as the lights on Storm's Edge went out one by one. The massive warship went completely dark. "Now the Iron Fist is going dark, sir," Yong-Su reported, his voice rising in panic. The second cruiser's engine stopped glowing. The ship began to drift, powerless. "What are you doing to my ships?" Hyunwoo demanded. "Nothing violent," Ji-hai replied calmly. "We're simply asking their computers to sleep for a while. Your technology is based on old human designs. We built back doors into everything before we left." The third cruiser, Thunderstrike, went dark as well. 3 of the Empire's most powerful warships floated helplessly in space. "My people are not harmed," Ji-hai continued. "But your ships will stay asleep until we choose to wake them. Consider this a demonstration." Technician Min-ho was frantically checking his instruments. "Sir, I'm not detecting any weapons fire from the human ship. No energy beams, no projectiles. But our ship's electronics are completely dead. How is that possible?" "I don't know, sir. It's like their computers just decided to shut down on their own." Ji-hai stood up on her bridge. Behind her, they could see other humans moving around. They all had the same enhanced appearance. Too perfect, too graceful, moving in ways that seemed to defy normal physics. 300 years ago, we were weak," she said. "We couldn't fight your empire directly, so we left. We went to the darkest, coldest parts of space where no one else would follow. And there, we grew stronger." The image on the screen changed to show the inside of the human ship. The corridors were organic-looking, with walls that pulsed like living tissue. Humans walked through them, but they seemed to be part of the ship itself, connected by thin threads of light. "We didn't just build new technology," Ji-hai explained. "We became new technology. We merged with our machines, evolved beyond what we were." Admiral Hyunwoo felt a chill run down his spine. "What do you want from us?" 30 days. "We want you to evacuate every world that once belonged to humanity. After that, anyone who remains will be removed. The Empire will never surrender to terrorists." "Terrorists?" Ji-hai looked genuinely puzzled. "Admiral, we're not terrorists. We're gardeners coming back to tend our garden." She gestured to something off-screen. The space around her ship began to shimmer. Dozens of other vessels faded into view. Each one as alien and beautiful as the first. "This is just the advanced scout," she said. "The main fleet is still coming through. By tomorrow, there will be 1,000 ships in this system. By next week, 10,000. Hyunwoo stared at the growing fleet of impossible vessels. Each one seemed to exist partially in normal space and partially somewhere else. "Your cruisers will wake up in 1 hour," Ji-hai continued. "Their crews will be unharmed, but they'll remember this moment. They'll tell their friends what they saw here today. And if we refuse your demands, then we'll be very disappointed. We hope to do this peacefully." Her expression grew sad. "We don't want to hurt anyone, Admiral. But we will take back what belongs to us." The transmission ended. The human ships began to fade from view one by one until only empty space remained. But somehow Hyunwoo knew they were still there, watching and waiting. "Sir, the cruisers are coming back online," Min-ho reported. "All systems returning to normal." "Get me Captain Daeho on Storm's Edge," Hyunwoo ordered. Daeho's face appeared on screen. He looked shaken. "Sir, I've never experienced anything like that. Our ship just went to sleep. Every computer, every system. It was like the ship was dreaming. Casualties? None, sir. But the crew is frightened. They're saying the humans have become something else. Something beyond normal understanding." Hyunwoo nodded grimly. "Send a full report to Imperial Command. Tell them we need the Grand Fleet here immediately." "Sir," Yong-Su interrupted. "We're receiving surrender notifications from Imperial colonies throughout this sector. 12 worlds have already agreed to evacuate." "What? Why?" "The humans visited them all, sir. Same demonstration they gave us. Colony governors are saying they don't want to risk their people's lives fighting something they can't understand." Hyunwoo closed his eyes. In 1 day, the humans had accomplished what would have taken the Empire months of fighting. They had turned advanced technology into something like magic. "How many ships in the Grand Fleet?" he asked. 500 of our best warships, sir," Yong-Su replied. "Surely that will be enough." Looking at the empty space where impossible ships had been, Hyunwoo wasn't so sure. The humans had spent 3 centuries preparing for this moment. They had evolved beyond recognition, turned themselves into something that could make Imperial technology simply refuse to work. "Get me Supreme Admiral Tae-hyun," he ordered. "Tell him the situation is worse than we thought. Much worse." As his flagship turned to leave the system, Hyunwoo couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The humans were out there in their ghost ships, counting down the days until the Empire's time ran out. 29 days remaining. 3 months had passed since the surrender. Captain Daeho walked through the corridors of what used to be the Imperial capital, now called Unity Station. Everything had changed. Human and Calith engineers worked side by side, building things that neither species could have imagined alone. The walls themselves were alive, grown from human biotechnology but powered by Imperial fusion systems. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Captain Daeho, please report to the main conference room, announced a voice that seemed to come from the walls themselves. He found Governor Haewon waiting for him. She was human, but not like the enhanced beings who commanded the fleets. She looked almost normal except for her eyes, which held depths that spoke of centuries of experience. Thank you for coming, Captain. I know this situation is difficult for your people. With respect, Governor, my people are confused. 3 months ago, we were the masters of the galaxy. Now we're junior partners in our own space. Haewon smiled gently. I understand. But I need you to see something. She led him to a viewing port that looked out at the construction happening around the station. Massive structures were being built in space, some kilometers long. They looked like combinations of Imperial engineering and human biotechnology. What are those? Daeho asked. Defense platforms. We're building them around every major world in this sector. When the Devourers arrive, these will be our first line of defense. Will they work? We don't know. The Devourers have consumed 17 civilizations that we know of. Each time they adapted and became stronger. But we have something those other civilizations didn't have. What's that? Unity. Humans and Calith working together, combining our strengths. Dr. Yoonji entered the room carrying a data pad. She was one of the human scientists working on the defense project. Like the others, she had been enhanced, but she seemed more approachable than the fleet commanders. Captain Daeho, perfect timing. I wanted to show you what we've learned from your people's technology. She activated a hologram showing Imperial ship designs side by side with human vessels. Your fusion systems are incredibly efficient, she explained. Much better than what we had 300 years ago. When we combine them with our dimensional phase technology, we can create weapons that exist in multiple realities at once. Is that good? Daeho asked. Very good. The Devourers have trouble adapting to attacks that come from several dimensions simultaneously. Admiral Sang-mi appeared in the doorway. She had been working with the humans to understand their technology and share Imperial knowledge in return. Captain, you need to hear this, she said. We've received new intelligence about the Devourers. They're moving faster than we expected. The room's wall shifted, becoming transparent to show a star map of the galaxy. At the edge, dark shapes were moving inward like a slow tide. 6 years, Dr. Yoonji said quietly. Maybe less. They'll reach the outer colonies in 6 years instead of 8. Are we ready? Daeho asked. No, but we're getting there. Admiral Kyung-soo's image appeared in the room via hologram. He was calling from his flagship, which was currently 3 systems away overseeing more construction. Captain Daeho, I need to ask you something important. We're looking for Imperial officers to command hybrid ships, vessels that combine human and Calith technology. Are you interested? Me? Command a human ship? Not a human ship. A new kind of ship. Built by both our peoples, crewed by both our peoples. You would be the captain, but you'd have human co-commanders who understand the biotechnology. Daeho thought about it. 6 months ago, he had been ready to fight the humans to the death. Now they were offering him a chance to help save the galaxy. What would be my mission? Patrol the edge of known space. Watch for the Devourers. When they arrive, you'd be our early warning system. And probably the first to die, Daeho said, probably. But also the first chance to test our defenses in real combat. Your sacrifice could save billions of lives. Governor Haewon placed a hand on Daeho's shoulder. You don't have to decide now. But I want you to see something first. She led him to another part of the station, where a massive window looked out at the shipyards. There, the strangest vessel Daeho had ever seen was taking shape. It was clearly part Imperial design. He could see the familiar angular hull and weapon mounts. But it was also part human, with organic curves and living surfaces that pulsed with inner light. The two technologies had been woven together so perfectly that it was impossible to tell where one ended and the other began. The Unity, Haewon said. The first ship designed by both our species. Your ship, if you want it. Who would be my crew? half human, half Calith. Commander So Young has volunteered to be your tactical officer. Technician Minho from your old ship wants to transfer over. We've got the best engineers from both civilizations working on the systems. Deho studied the ship. It was beautiful in a way that no pure Imperial vessel had ever been. But it was also powerful in a way that human ships alone couldn't match. What happens if we fail? He asked. What if the Devourers are too strong? Then we all die together, Admiral Kyung-soo said simply. Human and Kaleth as allies instead of enemies. Dr. Yoonji pulled up new data on her pad. Captain, I need to show you something else. We've been monitoring communications from the outer galaxy. Other civilizations are starting to work together too. The news of human return has spread. Species that have been enemies for centuries are forming alliances. Against the Devourers, against extinction. Your empire's surrender to humanity sent a message across the galaxy. If the mighty Kaleth Empire could see the wisdom of cooperation, maybe others could too. Admiral Sangmi nodded. We're getting requests for help from dozens of species. They want to learn how to build the hybrid defenses. So we become teachers instead of conquerors, Deho mused. We become survivors, Governor Haewon corrected. All of us together. Through the window they could see more ships being built. Not just Imperial or human designs, but new configurations that included technology from a dozen different species. The galaxy was uniting in a way it never had before. The Unity will be ready for launch in 2 weeks, Commander So Young announced as she entered the room. Captain, we need your answer soon. The outer patrols are crucial to our defense plans. Deho looked at the faces around him. Humans and Kaleth working together, planning together, willing to die together if necessary. 6 months ago, this would have been impossible. I'll do it, he said. I'll captain the Unity, even knowing you might not survive, especially knowing that. If we're going to face extinction, we should face it as one people instead of many. Dr. Yoonji smiled. Captain, I think you understand something important. The humans didn't return to conquer the galaxy. We returned to save it, and we can't do that alone. Outside the window, the strange hybrid ship continued to grow. It was just the first of hundreds that would be built, each one a symbol of cooperation between species that had once been enemies. In 6 years, maybe less, the Devourers would arrive. They would find not a galaxy divided by ancient hatreds, but a galaxy united by the simple desire to survive. The humans had returned not as conquerors, but as the catalyst that would forge all the galaxy's peoples into something stronger than any of them could be alone. Captain Deho looked at his new ship and smiled. For the first time in months, he felt hope.